Welcome to Your Daily Dose, a devotion ministry of the Faith Baptist Church of Franklin and Middletown, Ohio. Thanks for joining us each weekday as we share God's Word with you. It's your daily prescription for all that ails you. And now, Your Daily Dose.
Good morning. My name is Ben Thomas, and I wanted to share with you just some thoughts that I had for the Daily Dose this morning. And it's in the book of 1 Corinthians, it's chapter number 15. And this passage has always been very interesting to me, and I've always enjoyed studying it and looking at it. This passage, for those of you who may not know, is Paul is discussing the resurrection here, the resurrection of Christ, and therefore our eventual resurrection. And there are a few verses that I want to highlight here, and I think that they show kind of two different worldviews, and then from that, two different applications. And I want to show them because I from what I can see in 1 Corinthians 15, we see kind of a contrast between these two. So, the first thing we see is Paul is talking in verse 12. He says, "Now if Christ be preached that he rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then is Christ not risen? And if Christ be not risen, then is our preaching in vain, and your faith is also vain. Yea, and we are found false witnesses of God, because we have testified of God that he raised up Christ, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not." So Paul here is presenting us with kind of a dilemma, and that is that if Christ didn't raise from the dead, then there's no resurrection from the dead. Therefore, what we believe would be in vain. So he goes on to say in verse number 32, he says, "If after the manner of men I have fought with beasts at Ephesus, what advantageth it me? If the dead rise not, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die." So what we see here is Paul is trying to lay out kind of these two opposing worldviews. And one is, if there is no resurrection from the dead. And his application for us, if we believe that, is that we're wasting our life doing anything other than what we want to do. He says, why wrestle? Why did he wrestle with beasts at Ephesus? Why do we try to do all these things? If there's nothing after this, then everything else that isn't just momentary fulfillment, just doing whatever we want to do, is a complete waste of time, because there's no point to it. But Paul gives us a secondary worldview, the correct worldview, the worldview that we have to adopt if we believe there's a resurrection, and therefore believe that there's a point after death, that there's something towards which we're working. And he says in verse 34, "Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame." See, Paul, again, he asserts two opposing worldviews, and in asserting it, he gives us two applications. One, if there's no point to life, it's nihilism, it's hedonism, it's do what you want, live for the moment. But if we believe that there's a resurrection, then we have a mission, a call to action. And that's found in verse 34, that there are people around the world who don't have the knowledge of God. And to us, this should be a shame. We should be ashamed about this, that there are people all around the world who don't know about God. And as people who believe in a resurrection, in something after death, in a point to all of this, we should take it as our marching orders, as an edict to go and ensure that these people do have a knowledge of God. And I love this chapter wraps up perfectly with this assertion that we need to go out and see people get saved and witness and share our faith, because there is something after death. Paul says in the very last verse of the chapter, in verse 58. It says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." See, Paul brings to us two opposing worldviews. And with those, he gives us an action statement. But only with one of those does he give us any real encouragement. If we believe there's a resurrection, then we have a mission. And that mission can be fraught with turmoil and distress and difficulties. But at the end of it, we know there's a point to all of it. Paul says, "Be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, because you know that what you're doing isn't in vain." See, the rest of the world lives a life that's in vain. They're living for the moment, and they think that there's nothing after this, that everything that they can do, they can accomplish now, and its benefits and its longevity are only temporary. But we as believers, we know that we can do things that affect our eternity, and not just our eternity, but the eternity of so many people. And that's why Paul gives us this final word of encouragement here in this chapter. And that's something I want to impart to you. We know we have a job to do. There are those who have not the knowledge of God. So when we go and witness, when we go and tell, we need to be steadfast. We need to be unmovable. We need to continually be working, because it's not for us that we do this. It's for God. And the benefits we see may not come now, but the benefits we see are eternal. Thank you.
This has been your Daily Dose, a ministry of Faith Baptist Church. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today and click the bell next to the button to sign up for email notifications each time we live stream or release a new video. To learn more about faith, please visit our website, fitinatfaith.com, for more information about our church. Have a great day in the Lord.